starting once a decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway. Our office administrator will be happy to answer any questions you have with regard to that process. So we thank you in advance for your cooperation, and we'll begin with the first item, which has to do with replacing a 4-foot wood picket fence with a 4-foot white vinyl picket fence at 19 North Sandyside Lane. Glenn Kepnick is the owner, and I guess Glenn is here.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. I am Glenn Napick, and this is my wife, Monette.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I just would like to give a little bit of background, how we came to today's hearing. We respect the beauty and the charm of Yarmouthport, and that is truly the reason we were attracted to the neighborhood of 19 North Sandyside. We purchased our Post and Beam property and Sandyside neighborhood, and have been updating the property and landscaping to increase the aesthetics and the beauty over the last 2.5 years. In our first year, we spent most of our time, money, and sweat equity on the inside with the goal to work on the outside the following years. Unfortunately, we were hit with a surprise when our abutting neighbor, Dennis Partners, removed trees not only on their property but on ours as well. This not only decreased the value of our home, but impacted the aesthetics upon entering the neighborhood. This clearly is not the intent of tonight's discussion, but will help to explain the goal of the exterior remodeling. First, which you are aware, was putting up the new stockade fence between Dennis Partners and our property and replacing a rotting fence in the back. Second was to replace the old wooden picket fence with a 4-foot white fence in preparation for an in-ground pool. We admit we did not secure a permit for this fence, as we did not think one was needed since we were replacing an existing fence, and we had secured the approval of the association that we're part of in the neighborhood. We also were under the impression that vinyl fencing was okay, since many of our other Yarmouthport neighbors similarly had vinyl fencing and other aesthetics outside. We're far from complete with the work we've set out. We'll be replacing overgrown landscaping around the house with new trees and blooming shrubs. In addition, in order to create privacy to the pool area, planted skip cherry laurels in front of the white fencing, which we actually have pictures of today. So more than likely the pictures that you've secured previously will look very different than what it does today, because we put those skip laurels. So essentially, the fencing was to protect the pool area. The trees was to actually create more of privacy for us in the yard. And our yard is sort of kind of on the side. It's not like a backyard. It's sort of to the side of the... So we'd like to get your approval to move forward with the next phase of our project, and happy to share with you some of the pictures of what it currently looks like.
Thank you.
Your reference to other vinyl fences,
Yes, sir.
would you care to elaborate on that? We don't typically allow vinyl fences.
So-
I approached the...
Sure.
So in less than an hour and a half, we were able to go into surrounding neighborhoods and actually took photographs of 45 different properties, including the Yarmouthport Inn, which is probably one of the most historical buildings on 6A. So they're labeled based on the address of such fencing.
Well, you've done your homework. I'm impressed.
Sir?
I drove by today, and I appreciate the plantings have done a great deal to screen out the new fence. It's a lot of new fence, a lot of vinyl to look at.
Do you want
Less now.
Do you want me to share those photos?
You
or-
can with others. I've already, as I said, I've already seen it, but,
I'd like to see
okay.
the plantings.
These are all vinyl?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And believe me, I had to stop. She told me I was getting ridiculous.
I don't think,
Thank you.
some of these don't look like vinyl. I'm sorry.
We had one that they had composite.
Yeah, I didn't take pictures of those. There were a lot of those, even on 6A, even the downtown 6A area.
No, I could see them pretty much from there. That's an improvement.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Well, the old Yarmouth Inn that's up on top, and they're composite. They came before us, I'm quite sure. This is that Restaurant Royal too. They didn't come before us. You can, call it cheap plastic, you can usually tell because it's shiny
Yes,
and it gets dirty very quickly, it turns green.
yes.
So this
But
this
also,
is the
It's
list.
very
of photos?
destructive.
Yeah.
If a car hits it, the whole thing goes typically, because they don't have
It snaps.
strength,
Yeah.
you know, and that happened recently at St. Pius X Church. A car hit the fencing, it's like post and beam, and the whole thing is splintered for about 7
Mm-hmm.
sections.
You have the properties listed.
I gave that to them.
You have that, okay.
Now, that may have been approved as a composite. It wasn't.
Can I look at this? Is it in here?
I was looking for some.
Most of these haven't been
materials.
approved.
All I could find.
They never came.
That's under exemptions. There's nothing else about.
I might.
I meant to try to
We provided
research the whole
a
thing.
typed list, so, right, that's
I know.
easier for you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just ask a question. Did you have an opportunity to go onto our online database to see if any of these were approved?
I did not.
Okay.
Oh,
9046A is, they used to be owned by Down Cape Engineering. And I
It's
see
across the street, yeah.
they happen to be in the stack right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But they put that vinyl fence up like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's right by Peterson's, and
Yes.
everyone drives down that street, Apache or something like that,
Yes.
and see it right in front of them. And we talked to them a couple of times, sent letters. They just ignore you. You know, for prominent engineers in town, do a lot of business that comes before us, and they do what they damn please for themselves. It's a shame. And this cheap plastic, it looks it right away as soon as you gaze at it.
First of all, you should know we're not governed by precedent, so you've done your homework, but I'm not convinced that they're all vinyl, for one. Number two, some of these may pre-exist the establishment of this committee, or certainly those of us currently sitting on it. So while it's persuasive, it's not the last word on the fence.
So, I'm not sure about that one.
Richard, can I see them again? Did you want to see them?
I saw them when you were flipping through them. Are there any abutters present?
They were, if I can just comment on our abutters, everybody in the neighborhood is quite happy with the look of the fence and the improvement made to the development. It increases everyone's property value. We chose not a, as the chairman said, a cheap vinyl fence that is shiny. That's not what we have. It's a high-quality material that was put in there because we want it to look good, too, and to hold its value, so.
You know, it puts a lot of pressure on this committee when something's a fait accompli and then we're asked to evaluate it
I know,
after the
I'm
fact.
sorry.
We understand.
It's difficult. Each of the towns in the Old Kings Highway region have different regulations on these. And so if someone is driving through Dennis, they may see a lot of plastic fences. And then they get into Yarmouth and suddenly they see wooden fences. And the other towns, like Barnstable, Sandwich, they are pretty strict on wood versus vinyl. But people just put them up. Things, we send out a flyer with the water bill every year. So everyone in the district gets this mailing which says vinyl fences are not allowed, period. Occasionally we get a request. It might be a short fence in the back of the house, and it's pretty invisible. People generally don't see it driving down the street, and we okay them in a case like that. But this is very extensive, and it's very prominent.
With the shrubbery in front of it now, though, I think, with those updated pictures, it's
Are you planning on expanding that
Yeah.
beyond what you've done already?
in front of the, like, further down the road.
Where the gates are to the left of where you've
We
planted?
hadn't, but we can if that's a request.
Yeah.
There's 2 4-foot sections that don't have them, and then where the gate is.
Where the gate is, yeah.
There are 2, what you might refer to as gates. There's the sort of pergola gate, and then there's,
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Gate in
one
front of
down
the
here,
shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 10-foot fence.
so you're going to go both ways with your planning?
we did. I don't know if you.
Are you going to expand both, in both directions?
It goes all the way to the house already, the planting.
I think he's saying to the left of the gate opening. We don't
Well,
have
actually, where
plantings
the
there.
pergola gate is, it's no plantings in front of that. Not that I saw today.
There is
There's
one.
roses, but they're just,
Oh,
they're
okay.
new plantings.
Yeah,
We could only fit 1 shrub there,
right.
because they grow to about 6 feet wide by about 10 feet high, so
They have pretty
the
fast
objective
growers.
is to block the road completely to provide privacy for the pool area.
Right.
For their own privacy and because it's such a mass.
Looks pretty good with the screening.
So, can we require more?
A couple of them, yeah. I mean, the one down at the end, which has a 10-foot, that's wide enough
Down
to
this end, right?
drive a truck through, which is the intent.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to do it there. but you could put one or two more along the way, which would help sort of finish it off. So,
Let me just see the, I want to compare these two, so if I make a motion, it can be kind of accurate. So, would be to add, yeah, see the stack.
Well, it's not really showing.
That's this, yeah, that's this, that's this, right?
Yeah, this is particularly conspicuous. The bump out
Yes.
to the far left,
right,
that we would definitely want to see screened.
Okay. We can probably fit 3 more in that area,
So,
and then 1 on the other side of the gate.
Yeah, in essence, a complete line would be nice.
Yep. We can do that.
yeah. But it's good to have them, you know, broken up in different sizes or
with the
whatever.
condition to add 3 more,
Well, I don't know the number.
Yeah, of the order of 3.
How long ago were the new plantings
3 weeks?
installed?
Yeah,
About
they're
3
not
weeks
that
ago.
long. They're sizable.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
nice.
They make a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
I'd rather not specify the number, just the impact,
Okay, just, yeah.
Yeah.
that we want to see the
Right.
fence completely screened from
well,
the,
except for that
from
gate.
Sandy side. Well, the gate you can't screen.
Right.
Right.
With the exception of the pergola gate. I'm going to refer to it as the pergola gate.
Yep.
I don't know what you call it, but,
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't have a,
Yep.
And the
Okay.
vehicle gate then is the other one.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd make a motion to approve the application
Second.
with the condition that the fence be screened entirely except for the pergola gate and the vehicle gate.
okay.
That's all
All in
right?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
3 and 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to look better than it was as a wooden fence with all the screening and landscaping you're doing.
Absolutely.
Don't let me confuse you.
Steve, you call that an arbor, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
There's the
That
word.
was
Mea culpa.
Doing? Now, if one of you would sign this, that sort of finishes it up, says that you're going to build it according to plan,
So,
and this says that it's addendus.
If you can't read that, I'll decipher it for you.
I can read it.
My penmanship isn't my finest point.
This one, if you sign it, there. Great. This is all his photos. Okay. So the next item, again, is Glenn and wife, and Yardscape Incorporated, which is for a 4-foot black vinyl chain link pool fence at 19 North Sandyside Lane. So,
That's the fence that's to connect the white fence to the cedar stockade fence that exists in the woods, in the backwoods, behind the shed.
And especially at this time of the year, the area is pretty well screened.
Yeah, I think when the
Trees and
pictures
things.
were taken, the leaves weren't in yet, but
Yeah.
it's fairly wooded
Dense.
back there, yeah.
How big is the pool?
Oh, it's not super big.
Yeah, it's a very small kidney
it's-
pool
It's,
in the shed.
it's probably 22 feet by 18, something like that.
okay.
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, again, if you would sign this document, saying you're building according to plan. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, good.
You're welcome.
Thank you for bringing all that in.
The next item is for 17 Bella the West Road. It's a window replacement, gutter replacement, and painting. Donald and Lisa Coakley are the owners. Good. So we're Donald?
I am.
Okay. Bella the West.
So how much of this work has been done so far?
The windows have been replaced, and a lot of the shingles have been replaced. The only on the weathered side, the side that's better, still the same. I'm just going to see if I can power wash that to see if it'll match at all, but it probably won't, so.
And you're using cedar shingles and shakes and so on? But the gutters have not gone on yet.
Waiting for that big approval.
Okay. So everything else has been done.
That's in the process, yeah.
Are there any abutters?
Well, I have to say, I didn't see any other black gutters anywhere in the neighborhood, so.
Yeah, I was hoping to be the first.
I think the white,
I don't know.
the white
I guess your
one's
neighbors
better.
aren't concerned about it.
Gutters look nice when they aren't very visible at all. So you can typically get them the same color. If the trim is gray, you put up gray gutters, and if it's white, you put up white. But and of course, Harwich is not in Old Kings Highway.
It's funny, because the day we were here, we were filling out some of the paperwork, we drove by, and my wife said, pull over, there's a house. I said, I don't think it matters, because we're over here now. So, we got the idea just from walking the streets of like Beacon Hill and around the courthouse at Sales. And we saw a couple of properties, and it really, particularly on the smaller houses, the small thin ones like the Half Cape is,
Yeah.
it really kind of, it pictures, it makes it look, it's very appealing on the small side. So that's what we thought, that we said, that would look great. But,
Well, the other
your
thing is,
call.
the other thing is, since you've referenced the house in Harwich, it's got
Yep.
a darker roof with a very prominent pitch to it, so the gutter would tend to blend in with the roof.
Well,
And the downspouts up
but
to
the downspouts are black too,
Yeah,
and they really stand out.
yeah, they do, but there's less of them than the gutters.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that. So, if you're willing to switch to white
For the gutters.
for the gutters and the downspouts,
You sure?
yep. I've designed a lot of houses, and nobody's ever asked for that.
Somebody just did.
What about,
I'm not your architect, though.
what about the
That would
trim?
be me.
Yeah. Trim's going to remain white, correct?
Correct, yep. I didn't want to get too crazy.
Hmm.
And Colonial. The windows are 12 over 12, right?
Yes.
So, what do you think?
Like we'd like to see white.
Yeah, I would move to approve with the exception of the gutters and downspouts, which could be white.
Okay,
You're okay?
yeah.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
I have to go home now. It's brutal.
I know you tell her.
Maybe she's watching.
Tell her that we didn't ask you to switch the windows out.
Yeah, right, yeah, there you go.
Okay, move to approve as amended.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unusual, the 12 over 12s go back, they're doing a lot of 12 over 12s in the 30s and 40s and into the 50s, and then they got more into 6 over 6s.
Yeah,
And so you see them and they're all white. The grills are all white. And then you see black grills occasionally if they do a 2 over 2 or a 2 over 1, stuff like that, but not 12 over 12.
mhm.
And, a lot of people switch from 12 over 12 to 6 over 6,
Yeah,
which
I don't like that.
doesn't do much. So, good. Okay, so that's that.
He needs to sign the
Yeah.
you sign some?
Yep.
You just have to sign two things here. Here and down there.
Okay.
Good.
You good?
All set?
Done? Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you sign both?
Did I-
Okay, thank you. Just making
Thank you for your
sure.
help.
You're welcome.
Okay. This is a request at 97 White Rock Road to replace asphalt shingled roof with metal Permalock roof system. The homeowner is Philip Wolfson. East Coast Metal Roofing is the agent. We have both here.
Just state your names, please.
Paul Lucchiara, the owner of East Coast Metal Roofing.
Paul, excuse me?
Lucchiara, that's spelled Lechiara.
And I'm Philip Wolfson, owner.
Thank you.
So is that a sample of the product that you have? Can I
Yep.
see it?
Yep.
I haven't done a metal roof at all before, have you?
Non-traditional, they got a little more residential. So it's a metal, it's a 1.2, so it's on the rust because of the salt in here. It's got a wind rating good for up to 165 miles an hour. It's a lifetime warranty product, and then they can transfer it to the year.
Is this the color?
You need to be speaking into a mic. I know
Oh,
it's
sorry,
gonna be.
yeah.
You can leave the sample up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
leave that up here, you guys can
Thank you, sorry.
share it, yeah.
I hear about it.
You can make your speech there.
So it's the gray, the large.
It's going to be a charcoal, so it's a little bit darker than that. That's a dawn gray.
All right.
So they're actually metal shingles. It's not the traditional, I guess, standing seam roof system. These are rated for up to 165 miles an hour for the wind down here, and they're aluminum, so they're not going to rust. You don't have to deal with the salt corroding these either, and they're backed with a lifetime warranty, so they don't have to worry about replacing the roof again. So you're not banging around on the home and having to keep doing this over and over again. You can.
So this house is barely visible from the street.
Yep.
Set back and a lot of vegetation.
Right. I have a couple other properties in the old Kings Highway district that have metal roofs. One is we're going to be installing right in Barnstable over on 90 Indian Hill Road. We're doing that next month, and I've got one over in Sandwich currently on the ocean over there too. Those were both approved by Old Kings Highway. And I've got a list of other ones in the Cape also that aren't in Old Kings Highway, but I think those ones are obviously important.
Are there any abutters to this property?
They're a matte finish also, so they're not going to be shiny.
No. I think when they get wet, that finish or not, they'll be shiny.
Yeah, when they're wet, it'll be just like a slate roof. It'll have a little shine to it.
It's got 9-inch weather.
They're 9 by 18, each individual shingle. They're about this big, visually.
Yeah. This is on a very busy street. White Rock. There's a lot of traffic here. in, there's a house in might be Harwich. I saw one time, which has a metal roof, and it jumps right out at you. You're driving down the street, and
If you can see it, Richard.
yeah,
Yeah, what style metal roof is it, though? Is it a metal shingled roof like ours?
yeah.
And is it a matte finish? Because ours have a matte finish. I know some products out there are shiny, so that could be why it's popping the way that it does.
Yeah, really even dry and wet weather. Actually, I had a hospice patient who was, I do hospice volunteer work, and my patient lived down the street from this, and going to his house, I drive by it a couple of times a week, and I was not impressed at all. Standing seam roofing, lots of them up in Vermont, and there too, if you get something that is more of a, what do they call it, tin or oxidized tin, it's a gray matte. Get the actual color.
I think that's why he's going with the charcoal, is it's neutral. You know,
Right.
it's really subtle. It's going to kind of blend in with, it looks like a more traditional asphalt roof that's existing.
Yeah, I think we would like to see it. You know, we've gone from wood shingles to asphalt, and in recent years, the last 30 years, you get the architectural design shingles, which have been improved, and they look more like the old wooden shingles, and a lot of people get what's called weathered wood blend, and they do indeed look a lot like wooden shingles. And so that would work on a house like this very well. But I think this just deviates too much from.
I don't agree with that. I think you can't see it. That's the whole story from my point of view.
That's, yeah, it's a residential
If you could see it,
shingle, yep.
different story. I mean, I guess maybe at other seasons in the winter, foliage drops from some of those trees, you might be able to see it, but it's quite set back from
Right,
from
the
the street.
photo that you provided is kind of
Up close.
up close to the house, and there's,
Yeah, we took those, because that's how we actually get all of our flashings and measurements. It's an application that we use.
okay.
So it actually guides us around the house to, you know, be able to determine.
To
what
me, this is
it's harder.
analogous to how we decide on solar panels. If you can't see them
Yeah.
from a public way, we approve them.
Yeah,
I don't
think
see a
it's gonna be
distinction.
minimally visible. Yeah, it's low visibility, so I think it's
Yeah, I move to approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? One. Okay. So you'll have to sign a couple of things.
Yep.
One thing. It just says you're gonna build it according to plan.
You see it? I promise you that.
Oops.
You missed that point.
You're welcome. You too.
Okay.
You want to put this in the middle and you can
Sure.
vote
Oh,
together?
Do I have one too? or-
Yeah, in your packet.
It's different.
I can slide over if you want to look at your own, or we can just share. whichever you prefer.
It's like, see, these numbers correspond to these. Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it took me a little while to figure it out.
The next item is concerned with some fencing around a pool, etc. At 112 Route 6A, Laura Landerman is the owner. Intends to install sections of 4-foot black aluminum and 6-foot cedar board fencing for the pool enclosure. And build also a 12 by 20 screen porch over an existing deck, which would be replacing the 11 by 7 deck that's exists now. So,
Could you just state your names, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Laura Landerman, and this is my husband, Neil Landerman.
And I'm Neil Landerman.
Hi. Are there any abutters present?
So I'm the one that's responsible for all the coloring in front of you. I tried to make it clear. We really are only just trying to put a small amount of fencing. It's about 70 feet off the road. And our intention is to have all of it surrounded by beautiful shrubbery. In fact, quite a bit of the shrubbery is already existing on the property. For instance, your number 1 photograph are a stand of arborvitaes that we are planning to transplant in front of an already existing garden that runs along Vesper Lane. So we have kind of double the garden, and for us, it gives us quite a bit of privacy from our across-the-street neighbor who parks right there. It's not a very attractive portion of his property, which is really beautiful. And then there's maybe a 24 or 5-foot section that runs from Vesper Lane over to the house. And we have a whole bunch of beautiful boxwoods that you can see like on number 4, the photograph number 4. And they are really large. I don't even know if you can tell by the photograph, but they're 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and they're square, and it really will make a beautiful hedge that will go along the fence. Also, there are existing gardens all over the property that really are not being touched at all. We're just enhancing. And also you can see, especially in photograph number 3, there's no way to even really see where the fence is going to go. It's so far back and so covered by all of the existing foliage that remains. We're just trying to create a space. This used to be an inn, so most of the backyard is all asphalt. And we have 10 little grandchildren, and we've bought this beautiful house along 6A, and we just want a little privacy from 6A with all of the shrubs and We just want safety for the children to be able to run and play in the backyard.
Well, let's hear from the abutter.
I have nothing but support. I've been on the same house at 115 for 40 years. They're the third owner, and it's already looking lovely. So we're very happy to see the whole process continue.
Can I have your name, please?
Kathleen Tague, T-E-A-G-U-E,
Thank you.
and Ed Tague, my husband, is also.
Where is the cedar fence? I don't see that.
Well, there's this, the property line along the right-hand side of the drawing is where we could put the cedar fence. And it's just to continue the fencing. That you would not see from the road at all. It's at the back of the property and along, it's completely covered by foliage. And we have, let's see, I don't know if I took a picture of that, because it's all just pretty,
So it's already been installed?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, there's just a whole bunch of trees and kind of, shrubbery that goes along the whole edge. And so it just needs a fence to go along to, keep the safety factor going on.
At some point in time, both our property and the property next door did plantings along that whole side. So there's double plantings on both sides. So it's quite thick. And our hope is to run the fence in between both sides, running it in the middle so that there's bushes and shrubs that block it on both sides.
Okay, and then 12 by 20 screen porch.
You can see the, on photograph number 11, that's the deck that we'd like to turn into a screen porch, which is at the rear of the property. And in fact, you can't even see it from Vesper Lane either, so it's not visible on either road.
And so the proposed 4-foot black aluminum fence surrounding part of the pool area will be obscured by plantings.
Yes,
Yes.
there's not a chance you'll see it.
Right. What thing was that?
Well, I find it very revealing that the army of objectors who were here last time are not here tonight.
Yes, it's very unfortunate that my husband and I were called away at the last minute to go close on a property in Florida and couldn't come. And apparently what was being presented wasn't at all what we were doing. And the photographs and the drawings that were presented were, this is the same thing we wanted to do all along, but I guess it just didn't look like it. And there was no one here. Neither one of us were here to describe it. But since then, we've met with almost every neighbor, because we're new, so, people are coming by, and everyone seems very positive and appreciative of the improvements we've made so far, so.
Okay, let's see.
think we're very appreciative of your presentation. It's much easier to understand than the first time around.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened. It's really disappointing.
Well, all's well that ends well. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Catch up, they approved you. All right, I didn't know you were talking, maybe I missed it, but you approved.
I didn't know if you wanted us to sign some things.
Yes,
That was
sorry,
really-
yeah, there's the calls.
Sorry.
I know, I wasn't sure your way.
Thank you.
Just says you're going to do it according to plan. If
Yes.
any changes, please come see us.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
So you've gotten to know Beth over the last few weeks.
Oh,
too.
yes. Thank goodness for Beth, for all of us. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The next item is concerned with installation of solar panels at 11 Arrowhead Drive. John Thompson is the owner, and Paul Eaton from Trinity Solar is the agent.
Actually, it's Bob Johnston. Paul was unavailable today.
Okay, Bob Johnson.
Are there any abutters to this application?
The proposed panels are located on the back of the roof.
That's correct.
And would not be visible.
Move to approve?
Second.
Let me finish going through this before.
Come on, Richard. Time's a wasting.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, you can,
Is there anything I take with me, or does it go back to the,
she'll have the documentation on Wednesday afternoon,
very good.
and you'll get copies of everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is concerned with construction of a 24 by 24 detached two-car garage with living space above and a pergola at 53 Sisters Circle. Andrew Popularski is the owner and Mike Sullivan is the agent. So we are
I'm Andrew Popularski. Included pictures of the house, so you can see everything in the garage is going to be matching. The exterior windows, doors, stairs will be the exact same as the stairs and the side deck.
So, yeah, what I'm confused about is the color. 'Cause the application says gray. The house is gray. Oh, this is not a proposed color. Is that just a sticky note that's green?
Oh, that's a sticky note.
Oh.
What does that say?
It says proposed garage.
Right, that's
I thought that was the color proposed for the
no, no, no,
garage. And I was
sorry.
like, well, is it gray? It's gray. You're going to change it to green? Okay, got it.
No, I'm sorry, the reason I did that was because there's two sets of plans. It's the garage
Okay.
and then it's the house, so that you could see them
Right.
together.
Yep.
Thank you, I will note that for future reference.
Go with hot pink next time.
So the garage is actually going to be taller than the house, right?
It's 1 foot, 3 inches taller, but it'll start 3 feet shorter. It'll start, if you look at the site plan.
Lower on the
it'll start-
elevation?
Yep, the 95-foot elevation will be the
Okay.
top of slab, and the top of foundation is 98 feet.
Any particular reason for putting the stairs on the proposed garage on the outside of the property line, or, you know, on the out, towards the neighboring property, rather than towards your house?
It's basically so that the door leaving the garage is on the same side as if you can see the line on the site plan, that's where the little pergola-style breezeway will be, from the door leaving the garage where you park, like walking up to the front door of the house. So if it was flipped, then every time you park your car, you'd have to walk out the left side and then walk around.
Okay, thanks.
Doors look good.
Any abutters?
Confuse you too, or no? That just confused me, sticking out.
So looking ahead to the possibility of solar panels, looks like you won't be able to see them from Sister Circle.
Correct, yeah, unless you.
It's a good thing.
Highway 6, yeah.
If you slow down enough to be able to see it. Right, okay.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good luck with it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next item was concerned with some construction at 80 Cranberry Lane, a 24 by 30 addition off the right side of the house for a two-car garage, etc. And evidently the contractor asked that this application be continued to the meeting of the 24th. So we have to have a motion.
Move to table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The next item is concerned with solar panels at 2 Acorn Hill Drive. It's, Scott and Beth Dudley are the owners, and Northeast Solar Services is the agent. We have them both.
With Northeast Solar, the homeowner is actually ill today. He extends his apologies about being able to be here.
Can you state your names, please?
Lou Yared.
Jeff Wheeler.
Sure. 28 panels.
And are there any abutters present?
You can't see these from Hockamon or Main Street, correct?
No, not at all. That's really not evident in the plans. The house is rather elevated from the street, and one of the roofs is at a 17-degree angle. You couldn't even see the property itself.
I move to approve. A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Roger. One thing you have to sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It just says that you're going to, according to plan, if there are any changes, let us know in advance. So that's a date, yeah. Good, thank you. That closes out the 9 items that we were going to discuss. new ones. There's two that were tabled previously, and the first is 23 Sleeping Dog Path, homeowners George and Beth Davis, and it's a 22 by 26 detached barn.
Good evening, I'm George Davis.
You have to first take it off table.
Move to untable.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
So, you got the floor.
Sorry?
You got the floor.
Oh, I think the application largely speaks for itself, but as we're seeking to build a detached barn at our house, 22 by 26, kind of a two-story structure, or a story and a half anyway. Not sure what to say. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
And the barn really won't be visible from Sleeping Dog Path, and behind the barn is the railroad track, right?
Right, it's largely not visible.
Kind of a shame, it's a nice-looking barn.
Beautiful barn.
Well, I have to look at it every day, so.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I hope it's not raining yet, George. I hope it's not raining out yet. I saw that.
You look light tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're painting the house yellow?
Thanks.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, George.
With red trim. Yes, this one, I know this one.
Let's see. I'll start this down here. The next item needs to be taken off of table as well.
Move to untable.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, this is 41 Riano Road. Request for installation of solar panels. Alan and Jane Cutler are the owners, and Neil Holmgren of Solar Rising is the agent.
I'm Jane Cutler.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. We're back before you again seeking approval. Last week, we submitted some updated plans for you to review, and we're here for any questions that you may like to ask.
I went out and walked around your property there one Sunday afternoon. Didn't appear as anyone home, I don't know. There's one car in the driveway.
Oh, then we were out. I'm sorry, we missed you.
It was around noon time. I just got home from church or something and said, this is a good time to go over.
We're probably out for breakfast. So on the revised layout, all of the panels are on the rear of the house, is that correct?
That is correct, and the original certificate of appropriateness quoted 16 panels, but to meet the power number we're looking for on the back, it would actually be 18 modules.
And it does not look like there are any abutters.
Do you know what the annual production's going to be? Kilowatt hours?
5,285 kilowatt hours a
Kilowatt
year.
hours. That's for the 18.
That's with the 18, that's correct.
So there are only 2 houses that are affected by the visibility of these panels now, correct?
Yes, one of them is right up at the, kind of the end of our driveway. And there is a dense line of holly and bushes that are very tall, and you can see the sight lines. What I did actually was to take a look from our house to the one behind us, and that would be the most visibility if, you know, if it was, if any of them. So the site one, if you look at that one, I'm standing and sighting on the walkway that comes from the driveway, and lining up with the daylilies, and sighting on, and flip to the next one, the sight line, the house up beyond our easement road, and that's right just about where the right side of her bay window would be. So if you stand at her bay window, what you would see exactly would be that part of my house that's in the first photograph that says Sightline 1. Sightline 2 is what I would see of hers if I'm practically standing in my driveway.
The roof pitch is a help.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was a good
From
thought.
a practical point of view as well as from a site point of view.
Correct. And the second sight line, if you'll take a look, these are the best ways that I could give you a feeling of what it is, what it looks like exactly.
You
So,
see it when you walk around the property, you know, very nicely.
yeah, and sight line 2, I'm standing, and if you look at our house, which is the first sight line 2, I'm standing up against the window there, which is a laundry room. I've sighted out on a different daylily, which was very handy. And if you look at the next sight line 2, you'll see it line up with the right side of her mini porch. So, and so you can see what we see from the inside. You're gonna laugh. You know I did something crazy, right?
I think that the change to putting the panels on the back
Was,
is reasonable and appreciated.
but I want you to feel good about that. So, you will just open them, and you will see what I see. It took us a long time to get done.
Of course, you realize this might encourage the neighbors across the way to put solar panels on their roof. So,
I don't think there'd be any objection from the abutters.
No, and in fact, one of them was quite ill, and she was not able to be at the last one. So she's watching tonight.
this is pretty tricky the way you've done this.
Well, it's not
Very nice.
professional, but
Nicely done.
I believe you know my intention.
Well,
Hindsight, it's fun looking at something like this, when you've looked at drafting things, and now you got some who comes in with a panorama.
Very realistic.
Suitable for framing.
Definitely realistic.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to adjust.
Well, life is one big adjustment now, isn't it? One hurdle after another, and you,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
thank you.
Maybe someday that adjustment will be reciprocal.
You had to get that in, didn't you?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time, board.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much.
Thank you for coming in.
I do want you to know this. We had a little house in the Adirondacks for 26 years, and we did everything we could to bring up the area and to preserve the area. And I feel like this is part of what has to happen here. I'm 42 feet above sea level, and I know how fast the ocean is rising. So I really feel that this is our part, and we were able to do it by selling the little house. So
Good.
what goes around comes around.
Okay.
Enjoy it for many, many years.
Yes, yes. Now, you did the same?
Yeah, forget it. Let them deliberate on their other reasons. Thank you very much.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Did she want these back, I wonder?
Beth can have them for
Yeah.
her.
Okay.
Good.
It's funny, I ended up with the exact
Yeah,
same.
me too. How did that happen? You wound up with the same amount.
Yeah, two big ones and another one.
There's something going on there,
There's
Don Marie.
It all started with that green sticky note, didn't it? Threw you off. I could see that.
Good. So, that is the conclusion of all those, a lot of work. There are no minutes to review at this time. Next meeting is going to be the 24th, and there's just one item on the agenda, right?
Yes, actually, same address, but there's two items. There's the demolition of a portion of the back of the home, and then it's the rebuild of the one that was continued from
Okay.
today.
Yep. Good, okay. So that will be much easier evening, but not all that easy. if you've been seeing the plans as they've come in. And so we'll see what they come up with by the 24th. Okay. We have another appeal coming into the regional. Just got word the other day. There was a house in Brewster, waterfront property, where the house was worth something like $200,000 and the lot $1 million. And it got denied. They wanted to demolish it and put something else up. So it got denied by Brewster and it got denied by the regional, so they're going to take it up to court. You know, probably about a year from now or so. So I think we have 3 things going to court.
Wow.
We'll be busy next year.
Anything from our, from Yarmouth? That's good.
What's that?
Anything from Yarmouth?
No.
Good.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that is good.
That's very good.
Yeah. Okay. Any other new news to me?
No?
No.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.